Hey guys, Brian here. Welcome to vlog number 24. You know, Kobe's number. But anywho, this vlog I kind of want to take you guys on a quick little 10 things I dislike, 10 things I like about the STI. I've owned a car. I guess quick little background. I've owned a car for about like 4 years now, a little bit more than 4 years. And so, you know, I feel like I'm definitely, you know, a good person to kind of rely on when it comes to, you know, things that I feel like the car could do better or the car could do worse. But another disclaimer as well is that I love the car altogether. So regardless of what I say, a lot of things I'm going to be pointing out are going to be kind of build specific. They're going to be things that I've done that don't really, I feel like, translate well to like the overall feel of the car, I guess. And sorry, the sun's like in my face right now, but either way, I feel like you kind of got to take the stuff that I say with a grain of salt, and a lot of the stuff that I'm gonna be pointing out in general is not going to be stuff that's going to be that you will get like just right out of the factory. Some of the stuff is, but some of the stuff isn't, and so take that with a grain of salt as well, because I felt like, you know, there's definitely some things that I changed within the car that I'm not really too happy with, and I might change later down the road. But either way, you know, it's going to be a quick 10 things I like, 10 things I don't like. And the only reason I went down the whole modded route of some of the things I don't like that I changed about it myself is just for the simple fact that it was hard to kind of find 10 things to dislike about the car. So I hope you guys really enjoy this. I hope you guys, I feel like I've definitely tried to do this before in the past, and I think I was a little like more scattered brain. I felt like I kind of sat down with a pen and paper this time to really have like the set points and the set ideas down. And so I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys get a little bit of clarity, and I think going down the road as well, if you guys like and subscribe, if you guys stay tuned, I'm gonna do 5 things that the STI can do that the Corolla can't do, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side of it, 5 things that the GR Corolla can do that the STI can't do. And I think you guys are gonna definitely be interested in that, especially those that might be cross shopping. Either way, I'm gonna see you guys right now. I'm about to park the car. I'll do a little sequence, and then we'll go ahead and get to the video. So I'll see you guys. Back. So like I said before, I'm going to do a quick 10 things I like, 10 things I dislike about the car. I had a whole kind of notepad with all of the ideas that I had jotted down, and I kind of left that at home. So I'm going to kind of try to stay on subject, or at least try to make sure that I don't miss anything. But if I do miss anything, you know, I might have to adjust the title, whether it's 8 things I like and dislike or whatever. I'm gonna try to keep them numbered. So when I made the list, I was kind of just thinking, I started with the 10 things I like because it was easier to do 10 things I like versus the 10 things I dislike. And so for the first thing that I liked about the STI over or just in general, I guess this isn't a comparison video, so the first thing that I liked was the actual, and this is when I got into the car, so I felt like I liked the feel of the car. So that's the hydraulic steering, and that's the actual shifting mechanism, but I'm gonna put asterisks on the shifting part because that's going to be on the dislikes too. Anyways, so I liked the actual steering feel, and I liked the rumble, I liked the engine, I loved everything that it kind of brought to the table. And so that's the number one thing, or that's the first thing, that's my first impressions, and that's what I really liked about the car, especially over the WRX. Having that feel of actually feeling like a race car is definitely something that I really appreciated. And then going to number 2, another thing that I really liked about the car is going to be the customization, Oh brother, this guy stinks! customability, somewhere around there. Just the amount of aftermarket support that this platform has, I felt like is definitely something that puts it above other platforms. It's just there's so many different types of blow-offs, so different types of turbos, different types of headers, exhausts, intakes, you know, cob tuning, and just in general, this is a blank canvas and you could do so much to it, and I really enjoyed that. My number 3 thing that I liked a lot is the actual community itself, the Subi community. If you guys heard of Subi Fest and all of those things that comes with the car, whether you buy a WRX or an STI, Crosstrek, whichever, whatever, it's always throwing the peace sign to the other fellow drivers, and really just being a community. That was number 3. Number 4, the things that I really enjoyed about the car is its rally heritage. I really am a big fan of the WRC, big fan of just rallying in general, very big fan of Ken Block, and very big fan of Travis Pascana now, and all of those guys, and watching all of those off-roading videos, whether it was the Hoonigan rally stuff and all the, you know, all the things that they pull off, all the stunts that they pull off. It was amazing to see, and that's something that I really enjoyed, and it made me really excited about the platform in general. Yeah, there's Evos and there's other rally cars, but something about the STI and the love that it's getting, you know, is something that I really enjoyed about the car, and I felt like it was something that I wanted to experience for myself, definitely. Number 5, I believe now that we are on, about the things that I really like about the car is honestly something that I feel like not a lot of people think about, but it's kind of the practicality of it. It has 4 doors. You could sit 5 people comfortably. It's not even like you're sitting 4.5, or like, you know, like it's really just like a, you know, or the back seats is just there for like technicality type of deal. Like the GR Corolla, you don't really have a lot of leg room. You have a lot of headroom, but this car, you have a good amount of space for the legs, a good amount of space in the middle seat. You know, it's all kind of functional, and I really enjoyed that part of it. Number 6, things I liked about it is the limited slip differentials. Those things make a big difference, and that's going to be what sets you apart from the WRX to the STIs, that you actually have those 3 limited slip differentials, front, back, and center, and that makes a big difference when you're actually driving aggressively, whether it's on the canyons or in track. Especially in track, just having those limited slips is going to set you apart from having the grip, or it's just going to give you, you know, all the grip levels that you could possibly want, and that's definitely a plus. Even going to the newer VB WRXs, the limited slips is something that you cannot beat. Number 7, and this is just all going off the top of my head right now, guys, just thinking, you know, thinking about all the things I've loved about the car ever since I've had it. And I think number 7 is gonna be the power band, and I'm gonna put asterisks on that one as well, because I did not like the power band from stock. I thought the power band from stock was cool. It did what it was supposed to do. It felt a little sluggish, especially compared to the weight of the car. At least when it came to this generation, I felt like the older generations it was a little bit better, just because they were a lot lighter cars. But the power band of where I have it now, the FP Green, was made for this car, it feels like. And so having that power band, especially in the canyons, it's fun to kind of rev out, it's fun to build the boost, it's fun to feel the boost. And so that's number 7 of one of the things I really enjoy about the car. Number 8 is going to be, and I'm kind of like machining these off because I don't want this video to be like 30 minutes long like my last couple of videos have been. I want this one to be a little bit shorter. Either way, number 8 of things I really enjoy about the car is going to be the style. I mean, look at it. It's a beautiful car. You have the hood scoop, you have the aggressive grille. I mean, I made that myself. You have the VIS hood with the hood vents, and then you have the big STI wing, which is correct for this car because it is an STI, not a WRX. And you have the nice Brembo 6-piston brakes. And so the stylistic wise, you know, it's definitely up there. It's up there with your Evos, it's up there with your GTRs. You know, everyone has their own preference. I'm not saying that this is a better looking car than those cars are, but it's definitely one of the more better looking cars, at least out of this lineup. Obviously you got your blob eyes, your hawk eyes, and your bug eyes, your stink eyes, your hatches, and all of those, and those all look great, you know. And then you have your VBs, which, you know, it's growing. It's getting there for sure. So that's definitely another plus. But style wise, definitely one of the better looking STIs. This car, when it first came out back in 2015, I believe, I was walking around, they had a free giveaway, one of those where you put your name on the little, you put your name, your phone number at the mall, you put it on the little box, and then it's like a free giveaway. What they used to do back in the day, I don't think they do that, they don't do that anymore. But they had a 2015 STI, and I remember seeing it at the mall, seeing the red interior, the red shifter and everything, and I remember telling my high school girlfriend at the time, like, this is gonna be my future car. Just one day I know it's gonna happen, and it did happen, which is funny. So that's why it's always important, have goals, have dreams. Either way, style wise, love it, love the car. And then another thing that I really enjoy is that it's all-wheel drive. So that would be number 9, is the fact that it's all-wheel drive, and it has the actual manual power distribution controller, so you can actually send more power to the rear if you want to, which I always do when I'm driving in the canyons. It just kind of just prioritizes the rear wheels, and it helps lighten your front steering, which is really nice. So it kind of helps with the actual understeer of the car, and it helps lighten the steering a little bit, so that way it's not as heavy. And then you also could throw front bias, which I normally do in the snow or in the rain. Just gives you more of that front wheel drive feeling, and it just gives you a little bit, I feel like it gives you a little bit more grip when the terrain isn't as ideal. And then you also have full manual mode, which you could send the power wherever you need to go. So you could go full front, full rear, and this is 100% we're talking about here, and don't quote me on this because I did not look it up, but that is what I've been told. And so, you know, definitely being able to send full power to the rear if needed. But this is big asterisks with that one, because from what I've been told, and it's all on, trust my word on this, you know, is that it's only meant for like icy conditions. Let's say your front wheels are completely stuck, you can send all 100% of the horsepower or torque and horsepower, whatever, all the power to the rear wheels, and that's going to help you get you out of whatever sticky situations. It's not a drift mode or a rear wheel drive mode. That's not meant to be driven like that on track or anything anywhere else where you're able to grip, because you will destroy your rear differential. And then the number 10 things, and this is specific, I believe, to the newer STIs and WRXs, not really to the older ones. I think this is more for the facelift STIs, which this one comes with tracking headlights. So pretty much when I'm in the canyons and I'm turning, the headlights are moving with the wheel, which is honestly, for this being my first car with it, and it was something that I didn't expect for it to have, but it's such a game changer. Honestly, it's like one of the biggest game changers. And so that's the 10th thing that I really like about this car. And if there's anything I'm missing for you STI owners, feel free to comment the things that you love about your STI. I'm sure there's so many other reasons why people would really love this car, you know. And so, all right, and we're gonna keep it rolling because security left. So there's a bunch of birds here. I don't know what, this is kind of what happened last time. I think the birds kind of just like to hang out here. Either way, so now let's get on the 10 things that I dislike. So like I said, it was kind of hard for me to find certain things I dislike, but this is gonna go based off of OEM specs, some of the modifications I did. And so number one of my least favorite things about the car right now is the seats, the bucket seats. The bright seats, they look amazing, don't get me wrong, they look the part, taking pictures with them, big flex, right? But they're really tight, and I felt like, and the thing is, I messed up because I bought them new and I had the option to get a different size, and these are legit seats, so these things were not cheap. I think they ran me about like $1,400 each. I think I got them on sale before the price went up. Either way, they're not cheap seats. I got them in mediums, which is good for me. I fit in them still. I fit in them tight, which is not a bad thing, which is like kind of the most ideal, right? You want your bucket seats to fit tight, but you don't have much more space to grow. So I'm about a 34 waist, and that's about the limit of what these bucket seats can do. Normally I'm running around a 32 waist, but you know, your boy gained about like 10 or 15 pounds in the last couple years. So that is something that I really dislike. I'm definitely gonna change up the seats in the future. Just gonna enjoy them for now. You know, I'll probably run some Recaros I know Recaros are a little bit better, have a little bit of a better fit, and so that's probably what I'm gonna end up doing. So that's the number one thing. Number two, I would say from factory, is the power to weight ratio from factory. The car, when you buy it brand new, it feels pretty sluggish, and so you're kind of forced in that position that if you want to enjoy the car as it is and keep the warranty and all that stuff, it's gonna last you forever, you know. But if you want to feel a better power to weight, or make just a little bit more power, make it a little bit more true to what it's like, what it is on paper, is that you could just run a cob and it's going to be healthier for your car in general. But even just a cob and an intake is more than enough to kind of just balance it out, because I felt like just doing like a stage one, or even like a full bolt-on without changing the turbo, or even just a front mount, just going top mount, or staying top mount, but just changing intake downpipe, some injectors, and running flex, you're gonna feel night and day difference. And so this car almost begs to be tuned. But that is number two. Number three, I would say, is going to be the shifter in general. It's just a very clunky, it almost fights to get into certain gears. Sometimes I can't even get into first gear, a lot of times I can't even get into reverse. It's a very clunky, weird, you know, like you gotta really force it and abuse it to get it to do what you want it to do. And so that's number three, is the shifter. And they have fixes, kind of. They got like a carboy short shifter, and you could change out all the bushings and kind of clean it up a little bit. But from my experience, it's just not the most ideal. It feels like it's from the 80s, and it's probably because it is. But the transmission itself is a tank. So, you know, pick your poison, I guess. Either way, and so we'll go down to number four. So number four, in my opinion, is going to be the actual reliability and maintenance and upkeep when it comes down to this engine. So as far as, you know, as far as it goes, I feel like you want to kind of treat this engine kind of almost like a BMW engine. It's not as bad as a BMW engine by far, you know, like it's, the components on it are pretty reliable. You just gotta keep up with the maintenance. So you gotta do your oil changes a little early, change out your spark plugs a little early, you know, and change and flush your radiator, or at least burp your system every so often, you know, like just those little things that you normally don't have to really worry about when it comes down to like Honda Civics or even the GR Corolla. You know, it's a little sensitive, and every little mod that you do on this car, get a tune, intake tune, downpipe tune. You know, you can't do an intake and a downpipe without upgrading fuel, but that's only an issue that's on this year STI. I think they just really maxed out the turbo on this year, even though it's not really making too much more power than it has in the past. I think it's just they either, I'm not sure what they did wrong with it. Maybe their intake box is just a lot more efficient than it used to be. Either way, you know, definitely kind of a drawback is the maintenance side of it. You gotta do your research, you gotta stay smart, run your AOS's. You know, there's a bunch of things that you don't normally have to do with other platforms that you definitely have to do with this one. So that's number four, I believe. So number five, things that I don't like about this car, and some of them are my own doing, right? So the external wastegate is one thing that I don't like about the car. It sounds amazing, don't get me wrong. It sounds like it's honestly an exhilarating feeling. Like hearing that thing crack open is so fun, but it brings so much attention, whether it's good attention, bad attention. My personal taste, I would have definitely ran just internal wastegate. I feel like you can make about the same amount of power. It might not be as reliable, but you know, it's not as obnoxious, and it's not going to get the wrong attention, if you know what I mean. So that's number five. Number six, let's go ahead and say it, it's a cob magnet. I think before I owned this car, I had about maybe one ticket to my name, which was a speeding ticket, and I got that one in like a pickup truck. And when I got this car, I got tickets all the time. So pretty much, I think my first year of ownership, I got one speeding ticket, and then like somewhere in the rant, like I think my second year of ownership, I got like 6 tickets in 1 year. Insane, literally insane. And this is living in LA. So LAPD, notorious for you know, being the worst when it comes to car community. Luckily I've never been state refed, but I've gotten exhaust tickets, I've gotten tint tickets, I've gotten rolling a stop sign, I've gotten tailgating, speeding, anything that they could possibly think of they gave to me that year. You know, it was an insane year. Luckily I haven't had a year like that since, and I'm gonna knock on wood. You know, here, I'm gonna go to this tree right now because I really don't ever want to repeat that. I already have one ticket on the GR Corolla, and I wish I was YouTubing back then because I would have recorded the whole experience so you guys can kind of see how California cops are literally, I'm not gonna say they're the worst because I don't want them to go out here and target me, but they're notorious for the car community for a reason, for sure. So cop magnet. Number 6. So number 7 is gonna be the heat soak. So we all love the hood scoop, but the car was engineered to be moving. It was not engineered to be driven in traffic or sit in the drive-through, you know, in the middle of summer. It was meant to be driven, and it was meant to be driven in rally, in the mud, in the cold, in the nice 75 to maybe, you know, 55-degree weather. That's what it was engineered to do. And so the heat soak is ridiculous. And I live in Palmdale. I know a lot of people struggle with it that live out in Arizona or live in Texas, things like that. That car, you know, all of the WRXs and everybody that's top mount, they're all breathing, they're all struggling to stay alive. You know, you run into so much issues, detonating issues, you know, misfiring issues. It just sucks that the car comes like that. Switching to front mount really makes that difference, you know. So that's one thing that sucks about it. We all love the hood scoop, but going front mount is much more superior. And, you know, hopefully if they make another STI, maybe I mean, it's tradition, right? They're gonna make it top mount, but who knows, maybe they make it front mount, keep the hood scoop. It's good for cooling regardless, you know. And so that's number 8, I believe. So number 9, the things that I dislike about the car, I would say, is gonna be, see, this is the hard part because there's so much things that I really enjoy about the car, and it's really hard to find 10 things. But I would say it's probably just so every year the STI got bigger and it got heavier. And so I would say what I don't like about this car is that it got a little bit bigger, got a little bit heavier. At the time when this car was released, it was the biggest STI or WRX chassis and heaviest chassis that they've ever put out. It did handle, from what I'm hearing, it handled a lot better compared to like the hatchbacks did, just because they did change up a little bit. They definitely were geared towards, you know, breaking a lot of records. They broke the record for the speed record in the Nürburgring, you know, for any 4-door sedan out there. You know, it's just the STI is the fastest on that track. So you know, there's definitely a lot of performance and upgrades done to this car. Yeah, I hope these birds aren't too obnoxious. They're starting to fly away now. This is kind of like what I've noticed, that this is kind of like their little hangout spot. I don't know why during sunset they just come out here and they just like to kind of just hang out and fly around. So anyway, so yeah, so what I don't like about it is that, yeah, compared to STI, as STIs go, it's definitely the biggest and the heaviest. And then luckily when they went to the VB chassis, that it got bigger, but it did maintain the same weight. but I don't know, because that's it running its WRX form. The STI form, I could imagine, would be a little bit heavier, just because the transmission itself and the drivetrain itself, it's probably going to be a lot beefier. So if they ever make an STI version, I'm sure it's going to be the biggest and the heaviest STI ever produced. But the FA24 would probably be the best engine ever produced as far as STI engines go. So that's number 9. And number 10, let's end this thing off with a high note, kind of. So number 10 of the things I don't like about this car, it's hard. You see, we're getting down the wire, and I wish I had my notepad here, because I wrote down 10 things. I think the 10th thing that I don't like or I dislike about the car, I would say, is all the Subaru haters. People have so much false information about head gaskets blowing up, misfiring, ringland failure. All of those things, they happened before, but the newer STIs and the newer WRXs, FA24s, you know, like, crawl out from under the rock, guys. Like, there's no need to hate on these platforms. It's at this point, like, I feel like the STI is as proven as like the Evo would be. I wouldn't say it's gonna make the most peak power as an Evo would, but I would say it's just as reliable. I mean, I have buddies that have Evos, and they're broken a lot more than any STI that I've known, you know, breaks. And honestly, like, as sensitive as these engines are, you know, like, they misfire, they have their feedback knocks, they knock a little bit, you know, you have a little bit of those issues, but for the most part, they're pretty solid. Like, they're not gonna self-destruct unless you're pushing real power. Like, if you're pushing 500 plus horsepower and you're putting your engine at that risk, and you're doing multiple pulls and all of that, like, I feel like if you're able to get 200, 300 hard-spirited pulls out of a 550 plus horsepower build, you know, like, that was a pretty solid engine. Like, even as far as like built blocks go, like, you gotta realize, like, every platform, once you start getting into higher horsepower numbers, you're gonna break things, no matter what. It's not, there's no secret recipe. I mean, maybe the 2JZs of the past, you know, might be able to push that 600 to 500, 700 horsepower range without any real issues, because I know those things are like pretty much closed decks forged internals, you know, which is kind of crazy. But regardless, like, it's a very solid platform. So I think the one thing, the number 10 thing that I dislike, and I said the number 1 thing I really like is Subaru community. The number 10 thing, the things I don't like, is the anti-Subaru or the Subaru hate community, because that's definitely a big part of like what I see. I mean, I appreciate you guys commenting all of the hate comments, because it does boost the algorithm either way, but that is something that I wish was a little bit different. But I feel like as time goes on, us STIs, especially the VA STIs and even the VBs, are going to start to kind of change those narratives, because these engines for the most part have been very solid. I mean, I don't think I know too much VA STIs that are running into real serious issues, you know, on 160,000 miles, which is kind of crazy. And so with that, I'm gonna leave this here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna keep this one kind of short, so enjoy, peace, and I'll see you guys on the next one.